Oh, no. All right, we're going to have to reset that. But we know it's working. So I'll be back in a second here. But the point is, using an alarm to get you out of bed in the morning like that is very effective. We're going to dive into why here in a moment as I get the rest of the live stream set up for our office hours. So if you're watching the replay, that was the point of that. You get to see a little bit of the behind the scenes of what we're getting into. Okay. Save. And we're going to go live, y'all. Do that again. Let's see if this doesn't fall. All right. I got it. Good morning. Whew. So, in case you're wondering why that was the start and what I'm trying to do in this video, that was a pretty effective attention grabber, right? And the point of that is if you're using your phone to start your day, you might be missing out on an opportunity to actually have a more effective option, which is just an old school analog clock. We're going to dive into this amongst many other tools that you can leverage. And overall, the theme is how you can stay thriving during the holiday season and just different tools, different aspects we can leverage around that. One big switch I made over 2 years ago now was using an analog clock. Instead of using my phone, I also will use my watch, but having an analog clock, old school, gets you out of bed. Also, don't have it be right next to your bed. Have it be something that's going to be out of reach. So you have to get out of bed to turn off. You can then hypothetically go back to bed. But one of the programming kind of habits I found extremely helpful to build a routine, then turn it into a habit, is getting out of bed at a particular time I want to wake up. So 5:15 has been the anchor point for me. So I get up at 5:15, turn off the alarm, turn on my phone, go to the bathroom, start my coffee. And then if I want to go back to bed, I go back to bed. But I find that extremely helpful. And then we start to build on that. So that's one of the habits I wanted to start with first and foremost. But before we get into the rest, what I wanted to share with you all really quickly is a couple of highlights for today. Again, it was Halloween about 2 days ago. If you're watching this live, if you're watching a replay, it was Halloween, obviously, not that long ago. And what I wanted to highlight is, to me, that's a really strong anchor point in the holiday season. So when we think about our anchor points, I like to highlight strategies and having a plan and being able to go into that. So that being said, that's what we're going to cover today on the office hours. Not only products I'm going to get into, but really the strategies, the tools, what you can leverage in order to do so. And hold on, let me just go in here. I'm going to tag everyone live for the Facebook. And if you guys are watching on boom. If you're watching on Amazon or you're watching the replay, welcome. But the cool thing is if you're watching live, the first person to comment is actually going to get a $50 gift card. So if you're watching live and you're seeing this and there hasn't been a comment in, drop a comment because you're going to be the first one to get our $50 gift card. Congratulations to the winner last week. We got a winner last week. Also, every week we announce a $100 gift card winner at the end of our office hours. It's someone that has submitted a topic for our office hours. So if you want to, you can submit a topic. You can just sign up on our newsletter. You can go to our website. We're going to have the voting. Also, the link's going to be, if you're watching in the Facebook group, you're watching the replay, however you got here, it's going to be below. If you're watching live on Amazon, I can also direct you on how to get that. But basically, when you vote for a topic, you put yourself into the winning. We're going to randomly do that at the end of the office hours in about 40 minutes. Okay. So with that being said, pretty much time. I've got about like 10 minutes before I actually officially start the quote unquote office hour. So I wanted to highlight a couple of products here that I find helpful and be related to the topic today. And again, what we're going to be covering is thriving through the holiday season, which first looks at why motivation's failing us and how we can leverage momentum as part of that. Some of the products we can use to generate momentum and just really habits in general. The science behind it, what's going on there, how we stack those wins based on the science and based on the routine. And then ultimately how at LOF and Lifestyle of Fitness and Life of a Fighter, myself and our team, we systematically and strategically utilize this to help you stay consistent. And again, if you want to take action on that, we have coaching. We now have insurance-based options. We have out-of-pocket options. You can use your HSA, your FSA. We have a retreat coming up in February. We have a variety of different things that you can utilize to get started. And then ultimately, we'll really weigh in on, again, the separation and difference of motivation and momentum, what that means. And then ultimately look at a starting point from today. So I want to invite you to have something actionable from every single office hour, every single piece of content I basically put out there. It's either to have something actionable you can take or be inspired by it, or a combination of the two. So with that being said, let's talk about our next product. I wanted to lay out a couple different things for the routine. And this goes back even into, I'm going to talk about this a little bit more throughout the presentation on why and how we can create habits and routines and what that looks like. So for me, the morning routine is having my coffee. And usually I'm adding in some type of protein. So I'm going to highlight that. Sorry for reaching over y'all over here. But if you're watching, we're going to also highlight, I have a comparison point. So I'm going to compare kind of 3 different protein options that I have here. There's a variety, but so I'll do a cross compare. And first I have my pre-made Premier protein. This is the kind of what I call the boxed shaped one. They also have the more bottle oriented ones. It's really just a matter of preference, cost efficiency, all that flavor. I have the strawberry. Really, brands can be helpful, but what I mean brands can be helpful is the quality that goes into it. But from my experience, Premier Protein, they're not even a sponsor. They're just one that I routinely get. Also, Ghost, not a sponsor. I've actually been leveraging, so I'm going to swap over to Ghost here. I've been leveraging the Ghost Nutter Butter flavor, not only in my coffee if I'm making some kind of homemade different recipes. Lately, it's been my protein peanut butter cup recipe, but I'm using that protein mixed in with my coffee, and that's part of my morning routine. The other thing I find really helpful, especially when you have your powders, is the flavor and the protein to calorie ratio. So both the Premier Protein and the Ghost Nutter Butter, they have 160 calories per serving. Both are going to have, well, actually, Premier Protein has 30 grams of protein. So it's even more kind of effective on the protein side. Ghost has 26 grams of protein, has a little bit more on the sugar, and has a little bit of a difference on the carbs, like 5 grams of carbs total. It does have 1 gram of dietary fiber, 3 grams of sugar. Nothing crazy, but again, it's just a slightly different ratio. But more or less, they're pretty much even on this one. And then I wanted to also cross compare that when it comes to the powder to our collagen protein. This is one that was actually gifted to me. So I'm going to just highlight it on my, I don't even think I added it in here, but I'm just going to cross compare it for argument's sake here. We have Sports Research, has been a company I've worked with on and off for years. They gifted me this collagen peptides. I wanted to just like share when it comes to our proteins. I think collagen peptides has got a lot of hype. Sounds fancy, sounds cool. You're really just like overpaying for protein, in my opinion. And again, I'm looking at it from a board certified health coach perspective. I am not a scientist. I'm not a researcher, but I do look at it from an overall behavior change, healthy lifestyle, all those pieces. And to me, that's why I like the pre-made shakes, because it's easier to mix into my coffee. So I'll highlight that. It's also just super convenient and it's really effective as far as the protein to calorie ratio. Then when we go to the Nutter Butter, that one just like tastes really good. And I've been using it for my peanut butter cups. The other thing with the collagens, they have an unflavored one. This one might be one you utilize in your food or in different types of recipes if you just want to get in some added protein. Again, it says you're going to have 40 calories and you're going to have 9 grams of protein. So it's pretty much just all protein. So that's solid, but you're just overpaying for it, in my opinion. But it doesn't mean it's not a worthwhile grab and get. Like you have a complete amino acid profile from, let's actually count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, so you got all your essential amino acids. The difference between essential and non-essential, basically essential are the ones that your body is going to get from your body's going to be able to create itself. Your non-essentials are the ones that your body doesn't make, but that actually is like an important variable. And still helpfully, like you want to have a complete amino acid profile. So my point of saying all that is all three of these can be a great option. I always go back to like cost efficiency and how does it fit into your lifestyle? And then again, how do you create momentum? Like I've been eating peanut butter cups almost every single day. I'm actually going to do an experiment probably in the month ahead where I'm going to eat pretty much peanut butter cups every day for like a month and see how my body composition changes, along with I've been eating like turkey bowls, different things like that. So that's one thing from a routine standpoint. My morning routine, part of my anchor is my coffee and my supplements. And part of that, I wanted to also highlight then going into the evening routine where I use two different potential options here. I've talked about the Natrol Sleep and Restore. This has a combination of magnesium, melatonin, also has magnesium glycinate and vitamin B6. The B6 I'm less like prioritized around, but it's really the magnesium. The thing I will say, they do offer a version that doesn't have a melatonin addition. I prefer magnesium by itself and then having a separate product that also has melatonin. So if I have a really hard time sleeping, traveling, really worked up, it's been a crazy day, I can leverage melatonin, but I don't like using melatonin on a daily basis. The point is it can impact circadian rhythm, create almost a dependency on it. Again, it's not a drug. This is drug-free. These are all naturally occurring things. But where I like to leverage even more is just a straight up magnesium source as well. And that's part of my PM routine. So in the evening time, I'll highlight, if I don't want to use melatonin, I'll just go to magnesium. Now, this is just one of the brands I work with. Triquarta, if I'm saying that right. They're like solid. They're plant-based. Again, if that's important to you, that's one of the reasons why I like to highlight them. I don't necessarily just have plant-based. I would say 90% of my intake is plant-based, but being able to utilize magnesium in my routine, I like to have a PM routine. What I also combine that with is journaling. So I'm going to highlight to you next some of the journals that I have. And I wanted to think of it in 3 stages. So when it comes to the journaling component and the stages to it, let me just highlight stage number 1, which is a daily Stoics journal. Basically, it's daily prompts, and you have an AM and a PM. So I like to think of anchor points in the day, right? And that's one of the key things to generating momentum is having non-negotiables. And that goes back to like my coffee and my protein in the morning. That's a non-negotiable. My supplementation, my medication, non-negotiables in the morning time and in the PM time. So what I also pair with that, and this goes back to the idea of habit stacking. This is another valuable kind of perspective from my opinion and something to look at, which is being able to leverage those anchor points and being able to leverage something hopefully you find value from. And this is like a simple prompt. So today's, for example, the morning kind of reflection, and then there's an evening reflection prompt is, what am I getting out of my journaling routine? So I was looking at structure, reflection, perspective, really just getting reps of writing in, and it feels enjoyable. So it's an opportunity for me each day to set intention and reflect. So just, and again, it's like a minute, 2 minutes. This is when I talk about 2-minute daily deposits. This is the version of that. So this is like your baseline, very low friction, very low resistance. Then if we kind of take it stepped up a notch. And also, hey, Dina. Oh, I see your question. I'm going to get to that in a minute. I'm just going to go through these journal comparisons. So I'm getting to that. Then we have this is like the ADHD planner version of what I find helpful. You don't have to do an ADHD planner version. The reason I like this, you don't even have to have ADHD to use it. What I like about it is the way they break it down. It doesn't feel as overwhelming to me. We're going to get into another planner that to me is the top tier, the most in-depth, but it's also the potentially most overwhelming. The other thing that I like about this is it gamifies it. So you get points for certain tasks and how you lay out your day, and then you add up your points at the end of the day. You add up your points at the end of the month. If you've seen any of my office hours in the past, I've talked about this. I'm going to routinely talk about it because I think it's such a staple. The other thing I like is it does invite some questioning and some reflection. And every month it'll invite that. So that's like a next step up. And the reason, the way I kind of categorize these is this doesn't take as much time, bandwidth, or just overall like time commitment and attention commitment. You could do it in 3 minutes every day in the morning, 3 minutes in the evening. There you go. You can make it more than that as well. But here's what I will say. When you go to the ADHD planner version of it, you kind of level it up from that next perspective. And it takes a little bit more time. Like I probably put about 10 minutes into this every single day. So this maybe takes 3 to 5 minutes. This takes about 10 minutes every single day because I'm going throughout the day, looking at my daily events. It helps me organize things. Then I put weekly task lists I want to get done, and I plot them out, plan them out, and all of that. Also, you know what I just realized? Dina, congratulations. You're the first person to comment. So you won our $50 gift card. I'll shoot you a message, by the way, on how you can redeem that. And being able to then step it up another notch, we're going to go to this one's really cool. I was just talking to Carrie about this one, and I'm going to be honest with you, like we're going to be coming out with our own LOF kind of planner eventually that we're going to put together for all of this. But I'm really inspired by all of the different books I mentioned, but the Clever Fox one, this is their premium planner. First off, look how beefy this is by comparison. This is like almost I would say almost a con to it. I think it's great because you have more room, but it's like a little bit more occupying as far as space. And the thing I like, they have like a whole explainer. I'm honestly going to reach out to them like, hey, I'd love to partner with you guys. I've got some really cool stuff. This is where you can integrate our 100-day plan really well. They also have some really cool stickers so you can customize it, engage it. I'm honestly going to share this with my kids more than anything else. And I just think, again, it is a really like premium, well done, well presented planner. But here's the thing I want to highlight for you guys that we turn into our habits. This invites a lot of reflection, and it also invites a lot of insight. So this is going to be a 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, 20 year from now breakdown. So this is honestly going to take like 1 to 2 hours potentially. Thanks for the follow, by the way, Melissa. I appreciate you. So I would really commit, when you first especially start this, commit 1 to 2 hours. You really want to take your time with this one and map out from your health and fitness, business, career, family and friends, relationships, and diving into all that finance, personal development, fun creation, or fun and recreation and spiritual. So like really think about, visualize, sit with yourself, meditate. And if you feel rushed, don't take maybe even a step back. There's another part to, again, creating momentums and thriving versus just like rushing through things. Take your time, but this allows you to have a vision. And the cool part is once we know where we want to be, I use this in coaching all the time. I'm your GPS system, right? But we need to know where we want to go. We need to know where we are now. So first we have to create the vision. Where do we want to go? So we know where our destination is. Then we figure out, all right, where am I now? Then we can start to create and reverse engineer the directions in order to get there. Then they take it in 3-month blocks. Just like in LOF, we take it in 100-day blocks. That's why I'm really excited about exploring our partnership with them. Cause I'm like, hey, work in what we do with our 100-day protocol and the plan. Like you guys can even get our free plan as well. We make it accessible on our link tree on our website. You can go there right now, even get access to our 14-day complete protocol, coaching support, everything for free, 100-day protocol, and you'll be able to jump on a phone with me or one of my team members, talk about your whole entire setup. And then it breaks it down monthly. And it gives you just, I think, great prompts, skills and habits to learn, places to go, people to see, distractions to avoid. One thing I always wanted to do, again, it's really thorough. And then you even map out like where you feel you are, lots of reflective questions. Again, it's just like really in-depth and solid. The only thing I will say is this can feel overwhelming. So that's what I'm saying. This is like top tier. What I will say, if you feel extremely overwhelmed by all of these, the place I suggest to start is go with the Daily Stoic Journal. So I'm going to highlight that one more time. And the reason I say go with the Daily Stoic Journal, this to me feels the most accessible, the least overwhelming, quite simple and effective, and a great place to start. Then you can go up to your Wilkii planner. Again, I like that because it's gamification and points. And then you can really finally like top tier once you're really feeling solid and in the groove. Then you go up to your big boss planner and really lay everything on the line. But that's just kind of my perspective. And I think about it as a behavior change expert coach. That's what I'm like credentialed in. That's what I've spent a lot of time in. I take a lot of pride in as well. So with that being said, I kind of walked through the product components of all this. Now let's talk about some of the behavior change, the more oriented details. While I'm actually doing this, I'm wearing a weighted vest. I want to share a couple of things with you guys. So I'm going to have the weighted vest highlighted. This is, I guess, another tool when I think about creating momentum is having tools around the house that you can leverage. I've been doing an experiment. I've been wearing this weighted vest when I go for walks. I don't like doing it for explosive running based stuff, but for walking, help with calorie burn. Also for doing push-ups, pull-ups, body weighted movements, or just living my day. It actually feels really good. Also for my ADHD peeps, having tactile and weighted components can actually feel really good and calming for our nervous system. So that's another thing to keep in mind. And then the other aspect, instead of a chair, I like to use when I can is a Physio ball. So I'm going to highlight that as well. And again, I'm talking about all these things because I think they're really valuable to look at and understand. And while I'm actually doing this presentation, I'm going to be just balancing on the ball. So if any of you have ever like followed my stuff before, you know this is like something I like to do. And also you may think it's weird, but this is actually a jujitsu piece, a jujitsu practice I like to implement. And this is something I'm going to talk about when it comes to our daily routines. Like I go to the gym, and when I say go to the gym, I go to jujitsu class at most right now once a week. But I do jujitsu almost every single day, whether it's solo drills, visualization, balancing on the ball. That's how I like to, again, approach it. So the point of me bringing that up is this idea of a seasonal trap of like, oh, well, I'm either all in or I'm all out. It's all or nothing, right? So I'm either making it to the gym 3 to 5 days a week, going to jujitsu, going to Muay Thai, going to weight training, whatever. And if I break that rhythm, like this last week I've been sick, I'm not going to allow that to disrupt my rhythm, honestly. So that's like a huge piece. I find having a physio ball, having the weighted vest, even having, I'm going to highlight our bands, for example, using our resistance bands, and then combining it with an at-home gym set. So this entire set goes up to 400 pounds. And what I wanted to show you is how we combine that with our partners at Gym One, that this goes into a door handle. You might have seen this. This is something that you can not only use as a pull-up bar, you can use it for push-ups, but check this out. And look, this is how I use our bands. We anchor the LOF bands to it. So you can do pull-up assist if you can't do a pull-up on your own, or you can do different types of rows. You can do different types of presses. You can do pretty much any exercise using this as an anchor point. You don't need it. This just levels it up. We also have a door anchor with our band set, so you don't need this. But when you have this in conjunction with it, you can also do pull-ups. It really just adds another angle and level of versatility. Plus, if you have kids like we do, being able to use the swing, it has a ladder. And the reason I like this, it has this added gymnast handle that you can do inverted rows. So if you can't do pull-ups yet, doing inverted rows and doing those types of exercises can be one of the best progressive steps that you can take. So I highlight all of this in the idea of, again, going back to the idea of let's break this all or nothing perspective of like, oh, I have to be in the gym. Like I haven't gone to the gym actually, where I have my gym membership in 4 months because of a shoulder injury. So I've been honestly just doing cardio, running where I can, biking where I can. Yes, I've gone into the gym maybe to hit the sauna or the pool where it's possible, but a lot of it honestly has been at-home workouts, and I've gone down 2% body fat in that time, even while being injured. I'll be honest, some of that I've lost a little bit of muscle composition because of my inability to weight train the way I was prior, but I was in a pretty heavy, like added muscular load. So I'm not that worried about it. I know it'll come back. But my point of highlighting that is the first thing I wanted to touch on here is the all or nothing mindset that we get to work on. We get to shift around, and we get to invite change and transformation around that. The next thing I wanted to look at is being able to understand the Goldilocks zone. We've talked about this on prior office hours, but I wanted to highlight it here when it comes to the holidays. So having just the right effort. We're not too restrictive. Like, for example, we went trick-or-treating yesterday. My fiance made some protein peanut butter cups, again, with that Ghost Nutter Butter protein powder. So that was awesome. But also my kids like, Daddy, we want to, I call it having the dad tax. So they give me some of my favorite candies. Like Reese's is one of them. And also Snickers is my other one. So they gave me some Snickers, they gave me some Reese's, and they're excited to share with me. So I'm not going to say, no, I'm not going to have any of it. I just take a bite. Like I literally just took a bite of a Snickers. It's like 35 calories. Just literally me sitting on this ball right now is burning that off throughout this hour. So the point of me saying that is there's just the right effort. Like I don't have to be so restrictive where I don't have anything, but I'm also not going to have everything all the time and just say, forget my diet. I'm just completely going off the kind of intention here. And that's what's helpful about breaking things up into just the right amount of intensity and effort so that you have, okay, this week, this is my focus and my goal. And that's in the LOF strategy. We do 100% adherence weeks. We do 90% adherence weeks. And then we do 80% adherence weeks. And then we start to figure out what are the other non-negotiables, right? And what are the other pieces? So that's even with the holiday Goldilocks zone. I would give yourself some non-negotiables, and then also figure out what feels in that perfect Goldilocks zone to help influence those non-negotiables. For example, I'm going to focus on hydration. I'm going to focus on movement. I'm going to focus on relationship and connection. And all of those are going to be better if we do it 80, 90% time than being perfect. You're not going to be perfect. Next, we'll go into actually the momentum framework of what do those non-negotiables look like? How do we set them? But before we do, I just wanted to, again, highlight, Dina, you had a great question, which was, does your insurance cover services? So yes, we do have our medical director now who can actually leverage our entire programming to help insurance cover it. So if you're curious if your insurance is going to cover our coaching, just reach out to us. So Dina, I can shoot you a message separately and we can talk about what insurance you have, if it's covered. Right now, we've already got approved with United Healthcare, working on Blue Cross Blue Shield, Cigna, Aetna. We're gonna go through Medicare, Medicaid, pretty much anything we're working on right now, but we have approval on some, we're waiting on approval for others. It's something we're really excited about. So the goal is to make it as inclusive as possible. So finances is gonna be the restrictive variable. And if you're uncertain, you're worried about that, just let us know. Happily work with you on that. Okay, so I just wanted to touch on that. And also, again, Dina, you won a $50 gift card. You're the first person to comment in here. So I wanted to just highlight and celebrate that with you as well. And I'm going to highlight, speaking of our book right now, if you want to get our 28-day reset, we're also going to be launching, I have our medical director, Dr. Eric, actually revamping. I just wrote and updated our 100-day comeback series, book series. It's going to be building off our 28-day reset protocol. Also, thanks, Melissa. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop them. But our book dives into it. It's a great resource. And then we're going to be updating it. So anyone that's bought our book or even buys our book now, the 28-day version, I will send you the PDF of our 100-day comeback series when it's available. We will be selling a print version again. And again, you'll get a discount on that. You'll also get a whole bunch of other great premium things. We're going to put a whole bundle together. So you'll get our bands, you'll get our book. You're going to get a diagnostic session with myself, our doctor, one of our coaches. It's going to be an amazing. Now, it's going to be a more costly program, but your HSA or your FSA will probably cover it. It'll be a lot you'll be able to invest in. So now let's talk about, okay, the momentum framework here. How we're generating momentum and how we can do that. So the goal, what I would invite, is to have starting with one non-negotiable every day. And throughout this holiday season, we're going to build to where we get to 3 to 5 non-negotiables. So one, for example, will be I'm going to eat at least, for me, 150 grams of protein a day based on my body composition and what my goals are. There's a formula we have to calculate this. We even have a new GPT function, our LOF GPT, that you can have access to for free that will even explain that to you. And then, priority health. That's a good question. We don't have it yet, but we can apply for that and we'll get that probably approved. So if you're interested, Melissa, just like check out lifestyleoffitness.com. If you throw your info in, it'll be added to our list. You'll also get access to our app, and then we can follow up and apply for your insurance. So if you guys have an insurance company I didn't mention, just go to lifestyleoffitness.com, fill out, opt in for our free 14-day program, and you'll get in our app, you'll get in our system. And then as we're looking for different insurance companies, you can apply for that, or we can apply for your insurance company to be credentialed. But we're pretty much just getting approved from United Healthcare gives me a lot of confidence that pretty much all other healthcares are going to approve this based on how we're approaching it. It's going to be a game changer. I'm really excited about what we're creating here. So again, going back to the non-negotiables in the framework, finding measurable components too. And this is what it talks about in the Clever Fox Planner and all of our planners and all our books, even in the 28-day reset, creating measurable goals. We have some structures and some habits. So some of the ones that even come out of the 28-day reset is drinking half of your body weight in fluid ounces. So I'm 200 pounds, 100 ounces of water every day is the goal, or fluid throughout the day. Another one is having protein, at least 10 grams of protein at every single feeding opportunity, whether it's a snack, it's a meal, whatever that looks like. Being able to ultimately have that in. So that's another piece I would invite us to like just leverage. And I'm just checking to make sure everything looks good here. Okay. The next piece is another one I would highlight from the book is being able to have a certain level of movement. So we're now looking at nutrition, also being able to look at movement. That's another key area of a non-negotiable. Also, thank you. Yes, same, Melissa. God bless as well. And being able to figure out what is my movement by. For me, it's getting 5,000 steps every single day, no matter what's going on. Even when I'm sick, I try and get steps around the house or move or walk baby Hope or with the kids. And then the other part is getting at least 2 cardiovascular training sessions in that are going to improve my VO2 max and impact my beep test. Then being able to do at least 2 core training sessions and then at least 2 martial arts training sessions. Now, I usually will end up doing more than that in the months to come, but right now my buy-in, so that's 6 sessions a week. It's roughly going to be about 5 hours bare minimum on a weekly basis for me. Usually I try and get an hour per day of movement. That's like regardless of whatever's going on, because I can walk about 40 minutes a day and then usually doing some kind of as I almost will. And that's where like even balancing on the ball, playing with my kids, like we can get creative, especially as a parent. I've learned to get creative with how we're approaching these things. So that's another version of the non-negotiables, being able to have a movement oriented, we have a nutrition oriented, and then being able to also have what I would call self-care. Sleep can be a part of that. And it's again, I find it harder to say, hey, I'm going to get 7, 8, 9 hours of sleep. What we can do is use, let's say, a 3-2-1 principle around our sleep that I got from one of the doctors I work with as well, Dr. Chris. And what I've talked with Dr. Eric, our medical director, about is dialing in sleep. Like, okay, so for example, 1 hour before bed, no screens. 2 hours before bed, no high intense activities or work. 3 hours before bed, I'm going to stop eating or not have like high calorically dense food options. So again, figuring out the non-negotiables, and they can be different based on where you were at. I would invite looking at where you're at right now, what feels realistic. It doesn't feel realistic to stop eating 3 hours before bed. Pick something else. Or don't even pick that goal. Pick another area that feels accessible. It goes back to the Goldilocks principle. We have, again, our office hours around that. If you want to be a part of that, again, lifestyleoffitness.com. It'll set you up for success. I'm going to actually go into our live and just drop that link so everyone will have it there as well. If you guys are watching it on Facebook, you're watching the replay, you're already either a part of our newsletter, which is how you're getting this, or you're aware, which is how you're getting access to this. But let's just mute it, and I'll drop in the comments. So the other part that I'll talk about is the idea of this principle. I don't love saying balance, because balance can be kind of an illusion, right? But having a combo of enjoyment without having deprivation. So the 80-20 principle is kind of a really golden standard. So what I mean by that is 80% adherence to our plan, 20% deviation is a good foundational baseline. What I've seen through thousands of clients now, and just looking at the science around that, is if you can adhere to a plan 80% of the time, you're going to have at least a baseline level of maintenance. You're not going to regress. You're not going to gain weight during the holidays. You're going to at least see level maintenance. And then if you start to go up 85% adherence, you're going to start to see progress. 90%, you see more progress. 100%, obviously, you're going to see the most progress. But cycling that becomes helpful. So you're not, again, overindulging, but you're allowing yourself to have some wiggle room. So for example, I'm not going to eat Reese's every single day, all day. For those of you who know, I love Reese's peanut butter cups, that type of stuff. But I've now refined a homemade version where it's about 8 grams of protein per 100 calories, which is usually, if those of you that have been following my kind of routine know that's what I like to shoot for. 10 grams of protein for every 100 calories I consume. That's what works really well for my body, while being in a maybe 300 to 500 calorie deficit to lose body fat while maintaining, or being in a neutral state to maintain where I'm at and even grow muscle. Then the other side of it is replacing the idea of restriction with rhythms, and being able to have a rhythmic component to it. You don't necessarily need to have a start over in January. That's why so many of these plans can fail come the new year, because like, oh, I'll just wait until that point. No, every day is a new opportunity. And that's why I like having, well, we started these office hours. Every week we're talking about these concepts to reset. So for example, I ate 6 homemade peanut butter cups. I had about like 600, maybe almost 900 calories worth of, but we did like 10,000 steps. And I had about, if it was 8 grams-ish of protein per Reese's, that's like 48 grams of protein for about 600 calories. That's pretty solid. And also I adjusted my overall intake. The point of me saying that is it's a rhythm. So, okay, cool. Saturday was a little bit more. Today I'm gonna have a little bit less. I'm not going to fully fast all day, but I'm going to maybe lower my intake, have some rhythmic components and control to it. And also I'm going to play with the kids and be able to burn off some calories that way. And then on Monday, getting back into the routine. So finding the rhythms that work for you is kind of my point. And even during the holiday season, don't use January as like, oh, that's my reset day. No, every single day is your opportunity to quote unquote reset. And again, the other thing, the last thing I'll invite here before I pause, I'll kick it for questions and dive in a bit from that perspective, is there is no track to be on or off of. I think more than anything else, this is just a part of your path. I think of like my graduating class in high school is called the Trailblazers. You're blazing a trail, right? You're creating a path. And sometimes that path doesn't always look linear and straight. It's going to be a little windy. So I think that's an important piece to remember. We talk about in our books and all our coaching and all of that. So that's the last piece I just wanted to highlight, is being able to have that 80-20 principle. And then now just wrapping it up, come over, let's get real. I'll sit down with y'all. Going over a 100-day approach in our coaching, okay? We have the biggest thing I always recommend where people start is with our 100-day plan. And then, Melissa, I see your question. I'm going to get to that too. Is there an Oh, after style. Lifestyle. Yeah. Lifestyle. Oh no, it's lifestyle of, yeah, thank you. Hold on. Let me type that out again. Lifestyle of fitness. Yeah, it's lifestyle of and then fitness. So lifestyle of fitness. Bam. So thank you for asking that. And again, when I go back to speaking of lifestyle of fitness and our coaching programs and our philosophies, we take it in 100-day blocks. Once you've, and this is where I invite the coaching part, once you've mastered how we use our 100-day program, you can then replicate it on your own for every 100 days. So the reason we did 100 days too is on average, it can vary. A habit can take anywhere from 21 days all the way up to 180 days. And the average tends to be around 60 to 67 days. So that affords us about a month of wiggle room of dressing when real life happens, being able to pivot around that. And being able to do that affords us real life opportunities to make it sustainable. And then once you're done with those 100 days, you're then taught how to replicate it on your own. And now that we have all the coaching options that we do, even with insurance-based options, what I want to invite for everyone is finding an approach that we can utilize so that you don't necessarily need a coach, but you have us and our team here, and your insurance can support that, where you meet with our medical director once a year. You're going to meet with our coaching program. We'll do a 100-day plan together, and then you replicate it on your own 2 times a year separately. And the cool thing is, if you notice, if we do 300-day cycles, that's 300 days. That leaves us 65 days in between. That affords a little bit of wiggle room. Usually we'll do 100 days, then take a 2-month kind of decompression time where you get to reflect, you deload your workouts, you get a little bit more indulgent, you go 80% maybe on your nutrition, you travel, whatever's going on. Maybe you're traveling even throughout the 100 days, but it allows us a little bit of wiggle room. And car insurance due to accident. So we don't, oh, that's an interesting question. I had not heard that before. I appreciate that question. So if you have car insurance, that's not something we're able to necessarily leverage, but I'm talking specifically about health insurance. If you have health insurance, we're able to leverage that for our coaching. But from a car insurance perspective, it may be less. However, if you got into an accident and you have injuries from that, we can potentially work with you. We can set you up with our medical director. We have corrective exercise programs. We have doctors in network. We have chiropractors. We have physical therapists that we work with. We may be able to set you up in that direction and leverage health insurance, or potentially maybe whatever car insurance. That's not really something I have as much insight to, but it may be able to help support coaching costs with that. Or again, if you work for an organization and you have what's called an HSA or an FSA, which is a health savings account or a flex spending account, it can cover the cost of some of these health expenses. And again, the last piece to this is when you do our 100-day coaching program, when you pay for our coaching or you have your insurance cover it, and you do the actual coaching one-on-one version of it. Because when you do a diagnostic session with us, we give you a 100-day plan no matter what. You can get a free 100-day plan from our website. You can pay for our diagnostic. You get a 100-day plan. But when you actually either pay or you sign up for our health coaching, that gives you one-on-one coaching services for 100 days. We reward you at the end of it with a trip to our health retreat. Every year, we're going to have our health retreat. We're going to have it even more frequent once we have our property. But right now, we're doing it in Joshua Tree, California, February 2026. It's going to be February 5th to February 9th. When you sign up for our 100-day coaching program, you will get a reward to go there. You'll get basically a free pass, especially when you hit your goal. You'll get a pass to go to that. You can also just pay to go to it as well. We're going to have a remote version where you'll be able to go to it remotely if you can't get it out to Joshua Tree. But ultimately, what we've incorporated now is when people show up and do the coaching, we have rewards no matter what. You show up and do your 14-day protocol, I'm going to have a gift card for you. You're the first person to come into the comments, I'm going to have a gift card for you. I'm going to have a reward for you. We want to incentivize people showing up, engaging, and performing. And that's like a really important strategy that we take here at LOF is having a plan and then rewarding implementing the plan so that we can have an effective, sustainable, strategic habit that comes from all of this. And reward-driven mechanisms are one of the strongest ways to reinforce a habit and positively reinforce behavior change. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to pause. We'll hang out for a couple of minutes, do the Q&A. We'll also do an announcement. I'll see if anyone voted on the topic this week. And if they did, we're going to announce a winner. But I believe, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't think anyone actually voted for a topic. Last week, we had 2 people vote. So that was a kind of easy one. So if you want to vote for a weekly topic on our newsletter, we shoot out that topic in our Facebook group. We have the link. I'll also drop the link here on my live. If you guys want to vote, again, same thing, Melissa, if you want to hop onto that and vote, it's free, doesn't cost anything. And it basically just gives us ideas on what we can talk about in the future. And then every week we announce a winner, and you're going to get a $100 gift card for the winner that ultimately does vote. So it's a pretty good incentive. And again, shout out to Dina. You're going to get a $50 gift card to our coaching for being the first person to comment in our live stream for the office hours, whether it's on Facebook or Amazon. Melissa, unfortunately, Dina was on Facebook. She commented first, but if no one had, you would have won the $50 gift card as well, which I think is pretty cool. And yeah, I'll just hang out for a couple minutes, see if there's any questions, and I will just invite. We're going to keep doing this every single week. Hopefully this adds value for you. I just enjoy it. And we're also going to work on, I had some requests for other times. So we're going to be exploring other times as well that we can add in during the week, different times of the day to just support. And as we grow and scale our team and as we get things dialed in continuously, we'll just have more availability. But yeah, I appreciate y'all. And the thing I want to leave you with is make a 2-minute daily deposit. And what that means is, this is my final thing. A 2-minute daily deposit is something you do for 2 minutes at any stage of your day, but find a consistent point. So for example, doing 2 minutes of journaling, right? Or if there's a new habit, like I'm going to take 2 minutes and lay out my meal prep for tomorrow. Like for example, my kids are going to be going to school and I'm going to make lunch for them. So I'm going to like make sure all their lunch boxes are clean. So it's going to take me 2 minutes to just lay it out. Or another thing is take 2 minutes to lay out your clothes to exercise the next day, or just go for a walk for 2 minutes. Maybe just do an activity for 2 minutes, stretch for 2 minutes. Maybe you take an extra 2 minutes before bed to express some gratitude, whatever that is, but find something with intention today that you do for 2 minutes, and that will slowly plant the seed of deposits. It's just even for me, for my martial arts training, if I don't make it to Rogue or Rogue Combat Club in Asheville, North Carolina, I don't make it to Redemption MMA and Fitness in Greenville, South Carolina, or any other gym that I can make it to from the martial arts side, I'll make at least a 2-minute daily deposit every day. Whether it's shadow boxing for 2 minutes, sitting on the ball for 2 minutes to get my coordination for my hips and my jiu-jitsu, whether it's doing a solo drill for 2 minutes, whether it's drilling with my kids for 2 minutes, whether it's visualizing for 2 minutes, make a 2-minute daily deposit in something you care about. That will rewire your brain more effectively than even doing it for 2 hours once a week. Because I go to class once a week and I do training sessions 3-5 times a week, even on my own, but doing at least 2-minute daily deposits helps just rewire my brain for that. And not just mine, everyone. That's what we've seen about, when I say we, I mean, in different scientific researches, studies, National Institute of Health, PubMed, that's been reinforced by that. But I'm going to kind of leave it at that. It doesn't look like there's any additional questions. I'll circle back one more time to see if anything else has popped up. Again, I appreciate everyone. Thank you for participating. I'll say congrats, Dina. Let me just tag Dina. You won the $2 card for commenting first, and yes. Okay. Again, thank you, Melissa. Oh, look who's here. What's up? Yeah, Rising Sun. It's good to see you. Thanks for popping in. I'm actually just like wrapping up. I was going to hang out for a couple more minutes. I don't know if you have any more questions. I got maybe like 3 more minutes before I got to tag back in with the kids and before Carrie, my fiance, is going to go into work. But yeah, it's good to see you. Thanks for popping in. What have you, or where have you been? Yeah, that's a good question. So I've been like we had a baby 6 months ago, and just been like dad lifing it up. We moved, been really working on the business, working on my own self, my own mental health, physical health, and just restructuring a lot of things. And I'll be honest, like, here's the transparency. Going live has not been as like rewarding, both like emotionally or financially. So I've kind of pulled back. But what I've done, especially for at least the holiday season, set an intention of I'm going to try it and see how it goes. Because we do office hours every week to our community in my Facebook group and to our private newsletter and our private LOF group. And I thought, you know what, for the followers here on Amazon, for those of you that have been with me, I wanted to come back and see if there'd be any value. Again, I've got products and some different things I think tie into a healthy lifestyle. And then life has changed a bunch for you. Yeah, big time. Yeah, so like, again, 2 years ago now, went through a divorce. That was like really crazy and rough. And since then, working on myself for about a year. Then I met my fiance in that process, you know, obviously fell in love. We had a baby, we're engaged, moving in together. We actually put an offer on a property last year. So it's crazy how life goes. I'll be super vulnerable with you guys. So we put in an offer on a $2.1 million headquarters and property for the business. Then literally the next month, a hurricane came through and washed everything out, like business, everything, cleaned out my business, cleaned out my like business partners, kind of business, had a huge financial implication. And then within 3 months, my account's like negative $50,000. Like it was super stressful. I'm actually grateful we didn't close on the house because we wouldn't have been able to like keep that mortgage going. It would have been crazy. So the point of saying all this is, yeah, it's been a lot of ups and downs, but I'm actually really grateful because then I got some new coaching contracts for my business. It invited me to dive inward a lot more and see growth in different ways. TBI, sometimes I can't find link, any suggestion. Oh yeah, traumatic brain injury. Can't find. Yeah. All right. So yeah, I can speak. Yeah, it's a great question. I appreciate you sharing that. So I'll just recap. Point is, it's been a crazy couple of years. I mean, I guess that's my life in general. I notice I get to work on that and how I attract, but getting to work in the chaos. So yeah, it's been interesting and learning to pull back and prioritize things. But to your point with traumatic brain injury, someone that's retired professional fighter, works in that space. Here's what I would say for TB. Again, this isn't medical advice, just my 2 cents. Being mindful of stress, being mindful of sleep. Stress and sleep are going to be really important. Hydration. That's like another cue, getting hydration for your brain. There are some things you can do, even some cognitive exercises. Balancing is a really impactful one, doing like single legs, standing on one leg, balancing, those types of things. Physio ball, coordination, being able to do very brain engaging activities. That's why I like martial arts so much. It makes you think. Being able to do like puzzles, things like that can be really helpful. A lot of what I've seen TBI and CTE things can relate to a lot of ADHD-like symptoms. So working on emotional regulation, working on your vestibular system, working on your prefrontal cortex, how to find your app on online. So if you go to lifestyleoffitness.com, we have on our website basically a link that you can click to opt into things. It'll say start your free 14-day trial and get the 100-day playbook. That'll also give you the link to our app. But you can go on the App Store and just search Lifestyle of Fitness. We'll come up there and you can just download it for free. You can set up a free account. My biggest recommendation, though, is go to lifestyleoffitness.com. You'll get a free access. You'll get our 14-day trial. Click on the get a free 14-day trial. Put your name, your email, your phone number in. We'll be able to contact you, set you up with everything. We have the automations. And yeah, I think that's like a really strong way to go about it. And with that being said, that's pretty much right at the time. I got to go jump in to tag in with Carrie. Melissa, really appreciate you jumping in. Rising Sun, it was great to see you. Dina, thanks for hopping into the comments. You did win a gift card. Yes, ma'am. And I will message you about that. And yeah, thank you, everybody. That is going to do it. I will see you all next week. We'll be back every week. And cheers.